All right, so welcome everybody. I'm very excited that so many of you are interested in learning more about marine careers in our sector, specifically in British Columbia. We are an organization that works with marine employers and training institutions across the country to raise awareness about all the amazing opportunities that are in our sector and to provide information to students and job seekers and teachers about how you can enter our workforce. So we have a pretty amazing portal called Imagine Marine, where you can get more detailed information about marine careers, all the training pathways and the educational institutions that exist. And there's also a lot of Q&As and day-in-the-life videos from real-life people who are in our industry talking about their jobs. So at the end of this session, there will be a slide with links to different resources on that portal, and I encourage you to take a look, explore, and contact us if you have any additional questions. In addition, the Canadian Marine Careers Foundation hosts, in partnership with the Canadian Coast Guard and the Royal Canadian Navy, Marine Careers Expos. These are outdoor events. They're a great opportunity to come and meet marine employers in person, as well as training institutions. And there's some fun activities like doing ship tours on board a Navy vessel and other types of activities. So our first one in BC this year is June 14th in Prince Rupert. So we will have another one in September in North Vancouver and another one in October in Victoria. And we'll have more information on that on our website as well in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, I just want to say that this is a really exciting time to join the marine industry. We hear from our Prime Minister through the news on a regular basis that Canada has big ambitions to build national infrastructure, to diversify our trading relationships with other countries, and to protect our Arctic sovereignty. And the marine sector is at the center of all of those things. So we see already that there's new vessels for the Coast Guard and the Royal Canadian Navy that are being built in shipyards, including in BC. We're seeing an increase in cargo vessel traffic and passenger vessel traffic going through our terminals and our ports and along our coastlines. And there are thousands of people who are behind those activities, making sure that they are done safely, efficiently, and environmentally responsibly. So there are many thousands of job openings that are coming up in our sector over the next decade. And this is a chance to really be part of something that has a meaningful impact. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it back to George, and hopefully we can get started on our presentation. Who's our first speaker?
Okay, so our first speaker is Sergei Liashchenko. Sergei, please let me know if I pronounced that incorrectly. Sergei is the Senior Manager for Floatel Operations with Bridgemans. Sergei brings extensive hotel experience to the position, and he has also played an integral role in the successful mobilization of Bridgemans Floatel projects in Europe, the Bahamas, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Welcome to our program, Sergei.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Sergei, 39 years old, and yeah, absolutely right. Senior operations managers, floatels these days. And the phrase that you may see on the screen, I will never work at sea. This is where I started my maritime career. So basically, I was born in the small city at the south of Ukraine, near the Black Sea. I grew up as a typical kid, dreaming fly to the moon and all the rest that all of us are going through in the childhood. And my parents, they came from naval military fleet. They met together, got married at the naval fleet. And basically, I was always surrounded with the people behind my parents as we live near the seaside, surrounded with the seafarers, with the marine industry, with the all possible training center, maritime academies, and many people around was was always talking about to work at sea. And of course, when it came to the point where I grown and I need to decide what do I want to be and what should I do in this life. And for some reason, from the movies, from the serials that I was watching, I seen myself to be an engineer. I was thinking to, moreover, I was interested to link my life with something like district electric network and to sit in the one of the government related agencies and operate the electricity and networks with being an engineer. And that's how I decided to go to Polytechnical University and start my engineer degree. But same time before I did this, my parents was constantly asking, Sergei, you need to work at sea. You need to go to Maritime Academy. Look at all the people around. And I said, no, I will never work at sea. And the reason for that, I had my personal perception of that it's always to be away, never see my friends who I love so much, and always be away of my families, especially when we consider maritime industry as international industry. So you always have these 3, 6, 8 months contracts and being away, and it's not for me, not my lifestyle. I want to be on shore. I want to see my family, friends, my future wife, and so on. And that's how I started my engineer's degree, and I finished the Polytechnical University. And over the summer times, I tried to be independent from my parents. I started to do some minor works when we off the university, working in the hotels as a waiter, as a bartender, like to support my personal teenager life and handle the time when I'm off the university. So I gained some experience working with the hotels, with something related to housekeeping, waiter service to resident to hotel customers. And then when I finished the university, and it was a challenging time in economics and politics in Ukraine that time. Uh, my friends was pushing me, Sergey, why don't you go with us to the sea with the cruise lines? We have a Princess Cruises. Why don't we go there? You will see the world. You will travel around. Why not? And that's where the first time, even though I was convinced I will never go to the sea, the fact that I can travel, I can explore this world, I can learn another language, I can go and meet a huge vessel and be there, that's that triggered me. Not even the fact that to work on the vessel, but to travel around. As I was young, I was thinking to see the world, why not? So that's what triggered me to make my first step to the vessel, and that's how I joined it. I joined my very first contract in Princess Cruises in the hospitality service because all my friends was working that time. I had a couple of officers, but most of them work as hospitality service on the vessel, on the cruise lines. So I joined them with the meaning I will do it once, just to experience that and see the world, to travel out of Ukraine. And that's first step, and that where I am right now. We will get to this point, but that's how I started and at sea. Then of course, I captured all required certification, STCVW, and all related maritime documents because I need to join this cruise lines. And when I did my first contract, I really enjoyed that. I really like the lifestyle people lives there. I really like to travel. The vessel is sailed, the mechanism, it works like the whole watches, and every piece is very important, everything very organized and disciplined on the vessel. That's I start to enjoy, even though I not really like the cruise line and passenger vessels. But the fact of to be away, to travel, to go around the world, it's really attracted me that time. And when I finished my first contract at sea, I just was sitting on the LinkedIn, as many of us when searching for the job, and I found an offer for housekeeping supervisor position on the very first Floatel that time on Bridgman's. And I submit my CV. Obviously, we gone through interview, and I was hired by Bridgman as a housekeeping supervisor because I was already had some background in on the cruise line vessel, operating room service attendant. And there was a few months I've been involved also to housekeeping. And that's how I turned it to housekeeping supervisor to the Bridgmans. Bridgmans was very young company at that time. It was their very first Floatel for 250 residents, and I joined them as a housekeeping supervisor. I really liked the job, oversee the small team that time, housekeeping and front desk. And within first year, I was promoted to the hotel manager position. Which make me more proud about the function. And that's basically within the 5 years I was operating with Bridgman's as a hotel manager. And again, it's typical hotel service function when you oversee typical concept of Floatel's hotel service from front desk, sales department, food and beverage, housekeeping, some recreation as well. Typical hotel manager function, as you maybe heard or seen on shore hotels, and imagine what hotel manager does. And within 5 years, I've been operating our initial Floatels. The Floatel, it's a new word in maritime industry, which Bridgman's presents to the industry. It's basically passenger vessel, and but intent of Floatel is to provide accommodation service for all possible projects and workforces who operates offshore. So where there is no way to accommodate, to start and perform the project and accommodate the numbers of workers, there is no camps, there is no access to the shore, or it's in the middle of any bay or at sea. But you still need to keep the workforce close to the project. That's where the Bridgman's appears with our services, and we provide accommodation for those workforces. As an example, with the very first Floatel with 250 residents capacity, we operate at the wind farms, which is away of the shore, and we still need to stay there, and people are working, operating, or building wind farms. It was very popular 10 years ago in Europe when it's just starting to go up as a mushrooms, all these wind farms around Europe. Then we did a couple of projects for oil and gas related, either platform building or related to even vessel renovations and refits, where there was no space at the dry dock. For instance, in Norway, we operate no space to accommodate the people, and Bridgman's delivered Floatel, and people was living there. So basically, we provide a hotel and a service as accommodation for all possible offshore projects that our client might request, and that's where the Bridgman's appears. So for me personally, these 5 years working as a hotel manager, it's totally changed my life, and I totally forgot my initial intentions to be an engineer and sit in some board office on shore. It's turned to the real seafaring. I've been traveling from one project to another. We will reposition these Floatels different periods. And finally, again in 2022, we started another project in Philippines. We built a huge land platform for future Manila International Airport, and it's in the middle of Manila Bay. Obviously, there is no space to accommodate the workforces for this project, and that's where our Floatel for 1,200 residents arrived. And we accommodate these people on our Floatel, and how we assisted them to build this huge land platform. We Floatel moored in the middle of Manila Bay. We have small vessel fleet taxis running back and forth, and how the people getting to the work, to the platform. There was a huge vessel fleet arrived with bringing huge amount of sand, building the platform, and Bridgman still accommodate all these people who servicing and lives on this project. And yes, it was a huge project, 1,200 residents. For me, it was new experience. And that time, I was offered to be promoted to operations manager position. I was super excited because it's new involvement, new experience for me, because it connects already marine logistics, supply vessel fleet, who servicing also the Floatel itself. Because imagine, for 1,200 residents, you require so much provisions, spares, consumables, and an ongoing supply boats running back and forth to feed and accommodate these people. And operations manager is the one who oversees all these operations, including logistics, waste management. That time it was actually COVID period, and we developed a COVID management plan, and it was challenging time for all of us at that period. And I took this opportunity, and I must admit it was challenging initially, but as you grow, as you learn, as you challenge yourself to do one step out of your comfort zone, because we normally getting used to some structured process, and you kind of, oh, fine, I earn sufficient money, I'm fine with my family and everything else. But these steps that we always need to do to step out of comfort zone and challenge ourselves, like, how I gonna deal with logistics, how I gonna face with this? There's so many vessels involved, and client relation. It's another part of that challenging. But still, I did this, and we operate there for about 3 years. And this project gave me a significant amount of expertise and experience in, again, marine logistics. We had our own supply vessel with a crane, with the 2 20-foot reefer containers, who we load with the provisions, deliver back and forth to provide the supplies. Its involvement and dealing with the over than 250 crew for the floatels and small vessel fleet. Its cooperation with the shoreside agent. As you may be aware, every vessel has if it sails internationally, it has agent representative in the country who support you for all local regulations and requirements. So it's a lot of communication, logistics, dealing with the vendors, procurement, and that's this project actually within 3 years in Philippines, operating a Floatel Saga X, the name of the vessel, gave me a huge spike in my knowledge, in my understanding what does it mean marine industry. And I'm super glad for this opportunity that Bridgman's first of all gave me, and second of all, the lives bring me to this position. And I, until this moment, I regret when we are young, with seeing and with dreaming, and we can say that I will never work at sea, but now I cannot exist without sea. Even when I'm getting back home and stay for a couple of months of rotation, I'm missing this space. I'm missing this air. I'm missing this rhythm, because every vessel has, as I said earlier, I like the way it's organized, chain of command, discipline, and that is making me organized as a person, and that's where I learn from the ship's culture how to be a father, how to be a man, how to be a person. Because when it is such a great organization, as on every typical passenger vessel, you take a lot to yourself, to your lifestyle and your life. And yeah, after this 3 years project, we on the way, obviously, before we went to Bridgman's to Philippines, sorry, we had different smaller projects in Europe, in the Bahamas. On the Bahamas, we were recovering, restoring, refitting the islands which was destroyed with the typhoons, and there was also no place for the construction workers to live, and Bridgman's accommodated the Floatel. We did a couple of projects in Africa, and right now we have another ongoing working with Total. It is a LNG project as well, and one of the Floatels located again in the middle of one of the base in Mozambique, and servicing like over 200 residents who staying and operating this LNG project. So and more project ahead. And now finally we arrived to our home country. Bridgman's, it is Canada-based company. We all the floatels that Bridgman's ever owned were operating overseas, but now we finally at home, I would say, on behalf of Bridgman's, and we have two our biggest floatels arrived at Howe Sound near the Squamish. We have a wood fiber LNG project. We delivered just a couple of months ago our second floatel to expand the workforces for this project, where we have 650 residents on each flotels. And again, we're providing hospitality, food and beverage service. We provide some recreation, and for the workers to feel like at home when they finishing their construction work on site, they returning back to the floatel, to their cabin, they enjoying the good service in dining room, going to recreation. We have a huge areas with the all possible games, pool tables, poker tables, tennis table, huge basketball court. So with the summertime, people are enjoying this. So they feel recovered, rested, and can get back to work for every next day. And
I think what I'll do is, now that I'm back, thanks for your patience when it came to the technical difficulties. We had an internet outage throughout the community, as it turned out, but we just got back on within the last little bit. And I also want to make sure that we're able to get to the other guest presenters as well, too, Sergei. But I know I've heard part of what you said, because at least here, it's funny, the students here at this school were able to still hear you, but the video was not there and there was nothing happening in the chat. So Sergei, just wanted to thank you very much, but I will leave it to folks out there at this point. If you do have any questions for Sergei and his operation, please make sure you put it in the chat, and near the end of the show, we'll see if we can get back to do that and be able to ask those questions. So once again, Sergei, thanks a lot for that. We're going to go on to our second speaker now, which will be Bob Amundrud. He serves as the Senior Port Captain for Ledcor Resources and Transportation LP. He brings more than 30 years of experience in the marine industry, working both abroad and in support of tug and tugboat operations. He holds a Master 500 GT certificate, supported by extensive hands-on and leadership experience across a wide range of marine environments. So, Bob, once again, thanks for joining the seminar with us today.
Thanks very much, George. Everyone hear me and see me? Is this working?
Yep, this is working now.
All right, good to have you back. Hi, everyone, and thanks for attending. It's my pleasure to talk to you today, and I wish you all the best in your journeys moving forward. So as George said, my name is Bob Amundrud. I am the Senior Port Captain for Lead Corps, and here's my journey. My marine industry started back when I was 15 years old. I worked at a fuel dock in Secret Cove. The experience sparked something in me, and eventually, about 30 years ago, I entered in the commercial marine industry as a deckhand for a local log towing company. To get my start, I simply phoned the company and asked if they were looking for workers. They told me to drop off a resume. That same day, I delivered it, and they asked me what I was doing that weekend. Even though I had plans, I said nothing. And they told me to bring an old pair of spiked golf shoes and enough food for 12 hours. So at that time, I had a Monday to Friday job. For the next 3 months, I rode on the tugs every weekend just to learn. Eventually, they told me I had enough knowledge and they'd call me when they needed me. So my first call came on a Tuesday night. They asked me if I could work a night shift, and I said yes. So I worked my day job, went straight to the tugs for night shift, then went right back to my day job the next morning. I did that for 3 days straight until they found out and told me I needed to make a decision. So I knew that choosing the tugs would change my life, so I quit my job and committed fully. A month and a half later, I was laid off. So over my career, I've been laid off twice, been through a strike, went through a company takeover, and in total, I've had to start over 5 different times. But here's the takeaway. If you want something and you know it will change your life, commit to it. You take on the adversity that comes with it, and you push through. I entered the industry with just a grade 12 diploma. In my second year, I began taking courses. And 4 years ago, I completed my 500 master certificate. When I was coming up, it was difficult to get your foot in the door. And very few companies supported employees with education. So that's part of the reason I worked at several different companies. One was to gain experience, and the other was simply to access the training opportunities. So in my career as a senior port captain, my responsibilities include mariner training, work with training the deckhands, the mates, and the masters, or the captains. Operational support, so customer depots and tie-ups where the barges go. Customer relations, including performance discussions and incident management. Day-to-day coordination with our director of operations, our fleet engineering manager, dispatch, and the vessel crews. So I am also responsible for the assistant port captain, who I work closely with on many tasks, and I report directly to the senior vice president of the Marine Division. So a typical day for me varies significantly. I might be in the office, out on a vessel, on site at a project. Hours are usually daytime, but occasionally I'll work at night if operation requires it. What I enjoy about this job is the people. From new hires to senior leadership, I'm fortunate to work with exceptional individuals who share a strong culture of safety and personal development. I also love that our company is local, operates with strong values, and is deeply involved in supporting community charities. So maybe challenges of the job. No day is the same. We face constant changes, whether it be weather, tides, currents, water depths, mechanical issues, staffing needs, and more. Another industry-wide challenge is the shortage of skilled mariners. Years ago, industry like the forestry created a strong demand for marine work, but markets have shifted. Biomass or wood chips is still relevant, and large construction projects support the aggregate demand, and aggregate is all sorts of rock or gravel. But overall, the workforce has changed. So fewer people know about this industry, because of that, and many younger workers prefer quicker results over a long-term development required to become a skilled mariner. That may be changing, and I hope it will. So what makes my job unique? So my work environment changes constantly, as I mentioned, but I also might be in the office, on a tug, at an open pit mine, on a dock, or in an engine room. So I need to be flexible, prepared, and equipped for whatever comes my way. Some days the variety is exciting, other days it's challenging. But for my responsibility, I take the pride in that. So I work with many different groups as well. I work with the officers and deckhands, shore engineers and shipyard teams, Transport Canada, Transportation Safety Board, and the Port of Vancouver. So this job is very hands-on. Running a vessel, or I could be running a vessel for training, testing equipment, fixing lines at a depot, or it can be administrative, like preparing a presentation like this one. To qualify for a position like mine, you need many years experience as a captain or a master, and you have to be someone others can rely on as a subject matter expert. So the compensation and salary in this role, and some on the tugs, depending on what level, could be up into the 6 figures or up in 100,000. So it's very lucrative, but you have to earn your stripes, as they say, and build to that. Career opportunities still for me. I started as a deckhand on a log towing. I progressed to captain, moved into the office as the assistant port captain, and eventually my current role as a senior port captain. There's always a pathway for advancement, either further into management or back onto the water running a vessel that requires the certificate I have. But anyways, I'm very happy to be where I am today. I'm grateful for the journey that has brought me here.
Okay. All right. Were you going to say anything else there, Bob, or?
No, just thanks for listening. If anyone has questions, by all means, I love talking to the younger, people that are looking into the industry. As you can see, mine wasn't so straightforward, but here I am, doing well, and that's life. You're going to face adversity, and Sergei, talked about it as well, that you just work through it, keep going. As long as you're moving, just keep going. So.
Right. Well, I have a question, and certainly I'd be encouraging folks that are on the call right now, if you can go and write out your questions in the chat, that would be great. I know for myself, I'm kind of curious, how is it to operate/drive a tugboat compared to, let's say, any other smaller craft, or for that matter, a car?
Well, very different, like from different vehicles or cars to boats. The boats, when you turn the wheel in a boat, the stern moves, and your pivot point's somewhere a quarter of the way back on the length of the vessel. So really, you're like driving a forklift sometimes in the same movement. Also, we don't have lines on the road or different things. We've got currents we have to deal with and environmental kind of challenges, as well as we might go quite a bit slower on the water, but we're moving like lots of material. One of our barges, like the average barge we use to haul aggregate or gravel down the river, like a 3,500 ton barge. So that's 3,500 tons of product is equivalent to almost 300 dump trucks in one barge.
Wow.
And we haul 2 at a time. We haul 7,100 tons down the river every day. So that's just one of the jobs. So if you think about that, that's like 600 trucks behind us.
Yeah, and you can't even compare that to a train, let's say, right? Where trains would have cars maybe in the 100 to 150 if you're pushing it, for something that'd be happening with CP or CN Rail, for something as an equivalent to that, right? So that is a lot of stuff. Besides the aggregate, besides the wood chip, what are some of the other products that you move along?
We've done some coal, a little bit. That's primarily like in our group, our work. Like we've hauled some other vessels. Let's see, we've done a little bit of ship docking, not too much. That's kind of a different kind of sector of towboating. So those tugs are completely different, and they operate completely different. So, but for us, it's primarily aggregate and biomass. So.
Okay. All right. Well, Bob, once again, thanks for sharing. And I would encourage others, please put in a question for Bob or others if you do have one. We're going to go to our third speaker now as we head to Prince Rupert. Rylan Tsuji is a member of the Metlakatla First Nation and began his career training in the Prince Rupert Port Authority, or as they call it, the PRPA, Indigenous Internship Program, after graduating high school in Fraser Lake. And of course, for those who don't know, Fraser Lake is just down the road, Highway 16 heading towards Prince George. This training led to a full-time employment as a gateway operator, serving both in the Port Security Operations Center and as part of the boat crew aboard PRPA's patrol vessels. Rylan, welcome to the seminar.
Thank you, George. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rylan Tsuji. I am the Supervisor of Marine Operations for the Prince Rupert Port Authority. I'm a proud CMCF member of the Metlakatla First Nation. When I'm not on the workboat, you'll catch me fishing with my family on my personal boat. As George said, I started out with the Prince Rupert Port Authority back in 2017, almost right out of high school. I actually started out as a harbor patrol deckhand intern. As an intern, I didn't have any official marine tickets, but I did have marine experience fishing with my dad and my grandfather. That experience helped me with my local knowledge, which opened the doors for me to get that internship. You know, over the past 8 years, the Prince Rupert Port Authority has assisted me in achieving my 60-ton Masters Limited and also my small vessel machinery operator certificate, which is both are entry-level tickets, but they allowed me to act as captain and engineer on board our patrol vessels. I manage 6 boat crew members, and I also manage 3 harbor patrol vessels. Everything from the scheduling, vessel maintenance to driving the boats. I'm the guy that works with my team to ensure everything runs smoothly. I also assist the harbor master to ensure safe and secure shipping within the Prince Rupert Harbor. Our Port Security Operations Center works with terminal operators, vessel agents, tugboat captains, BC Coast pilots, and of course the marine vessel traffic to ensure everything is organized and safe. We work very closely with all of the ships that come into our harbor. Our port operations team assigns anchorages and approves all work order requests. Basically, anything that a ship wants to do in our harbor, they must go through the harbor master's office. I love my job because each day can be different. One day I can be working in the office scheduling vessel taskings, and the next I can be out on the water training our new up-and-coming captains. Prince Rupert is a small town, so I do like the close-knit relationships that I have with the terminal operators, the tugboat captains, and even some of the BC Coast pilots. Having these relationships in a marine community make it easier to get the jobs done and assist with issues that may arise. Some of the challenges I face, Bob mentioned it earlier, is finding enough marine trained crew members. You know, some of the old timers, as they say that mariners are a dying breed. A lot of our longtime captains and deckhands are slowly retiring or moving on with not many people to replace them. So acquiring marine certificates can be quite challenging at times and hard to understand. All marine certificates require something called sea time. Each applicant must work on a vessel for a certain amount of time before they can do the course or even get their official certificate. The Prince Rupert Port Authority is working closely with local marine partners, Indigenous communities, and the marine schools from down south to try to get more courses done here in Prince Rupert. It's a major cost for our local mariners to head to Vancouver or Vancouver Island to get these courses done. Our hope is to one day have a full marine school here in Prince Rupert that could accommodate navigation and engineering courses. I hope that a school like that could open up many doors for our local mariners to achieve their goals and get high-paying careers within the marine industry. The last item on my list here is working conditions. Our boat crew work in close quarters with each other, operating on smaller vessels. They work on a 7-day on, 7-day off rotation, 12-hour days. Working on the boats can be pretty small quarters with your colleagues, so you must be comfortable working for long periods of time with them. Marine jobs can also be very hands-on. You must know your vessel like the back of your hand. Safety is huge for us. Practicing our safety drills, knowing your safety equipment is essential. Knowing your engine room and how to operate your vessel is also essential. Our boat crew works in adverse conditions. Prince Rupert holds the title for the rainiest city in Canada. So the weather in Prince Rupert here can get pretty gross in the winter, but on the flip side, you can get some of the best sunrises and sunsets on the water. I wouldn't trade it for anything. If anyone is interested in a marine career, I strongly encourage you to look up marine schools like Western Maritime Institute on Vancouver Island, BCIT in North Vancouver, or even the Canadian Coast Guard. They offer many great programs and opportunities to get marine education, at times, sometimes right out of high school. To work in a wide variety of different positions on the water. Working in the marine industry can bring you to many cool places and introduce you to many great people. I thank you all for your time and attention, and I thank Imagine Marine for the opportunity to present today. I'm happy to take any questions at the end here or offline. Thank you,
All right.
George.
Yeah, no worries. And so here's one of my first questions. I'm really curious when it comes to the aspect of crime and criminal activity that might be in a port. How are you involved with that? And not that, of course, you're engaging in it, you're trying to stop it, but how does it show itself in a port? And, what are the different sort of things you try to deal with?
So our security side of the business here works very closely with our CMP and CBSA. So we do a lot of inspections. We assist a CBSA with vessel inspections as well. Unfortunately, CBSA does not have a vessel here in Prince Rupert, so we often bring them to the ships at anchor. And we also have inspection facilities here in Prince Rupert that they at times go through some of the containers. And CBSA also has a great big fancy radar truck. The longshoremen will line up the containers for us and they'll scan it along, checking for anything bad.
And what would be some of the things that would be bad in a container? I'd be curious to know. Two come to mind, but you may have some insight on others. One would be, of course, illegal drugs, and a higher quantity of illegal drugs would be one. But I know one thing that's been happening out east, at least, and I can't speak for out west, is vehicles being stolen in Canada and then put in containers to be shipped off elsewhere. Are those two things?
I would say those would be our main two: is drugs and stolen items for sure.
Okay.
I'd say those are the meat and potatoes of what we're looking for.
Right. So when you're doing that scanning, how does that work? Because there's so many containers and there's only so few of you. How can you keep up with all of it? Or is it a case that you have to select and choose? And then how does the scanning work?
So we don't do the scanning ourselves at CBSA, but they pick. So they'll go through the list of items on the ship, and they'll pick the high priority cans that they want to look at. And I can't speak to the radar detection. It's a pretty fancy setup. Anything from metal to, it's just like going through the airport. It's that type of scan that shows all of the items within inside the container.
Okay, fair enough. Can you think about times for yourself or any of your members when you're kind of walking along the port, doing your rounds, and you run into something like really unusual? I'm just curious if there's anything that has come to mind, whether it's somebody that is just got into the property and they're looking for a place to stay, let's say somebody that might be homeless per se, or, other factors that might be very odd that you would run into?
So on my end of the business, I'm mainly on the marine side, but I did work as a gateway operator, um, moving up to my supervisor job. So I did work in security. We did have. Are you able to bring up the map, Anna, that we have for the port ecosystem? So we have Ridley Island. At
Right.
times we have issues of homeless people going there, or people just wanting to camp out there. So at times it could be unusual, and it's very important that we keep everyone off all of our port properties just to ensure security, because we have many moving parts and expensive parts moving within the port.
Right. And I know this question has been thrown out. And I know that Prince Rupert's Port has been expanding. It has been expanding over many years, but I understand it might even be expanding even more now.
Yeah, so I wanted to show the port ecosystem, just to show all of the terminals that we have here. This is the current setup that we have. We definitely have more projects coming online. The most recent one here is our Ripit site here from AltaGas and Vopak. That was $3.5 billion of investment. We're growing fast and hoping to put up our volumes here.
Excellent. Okay, so Rylan, thanks again for your insight. And once again, if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat if you can. Finally, we turn to Mary Luco. Mary is the Deputy Marine Superintendent for Operational Capacity for the Western region of the Canadian Coast Guard. This is where she leads fleet staffing and training initiatives that enhance the safety, effectiveness, and resilience of operations on the West Coast. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology from the University of Victoria in 2016 before attending the Canadian Coast Guard College and now Academy as part of the class of 2020 in Nova Scotia, where she began her career as a navigation officer. So, Mary, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that introduction, George. So my name's Mary Luco. I currently work as the Deputy Marine Superintendent of Operational Capability here in the Western region of the Coast Guard in Victoria. As George mentioned, I oversee the fleet training and staffing units, though I also assist in addressing crewing concerns, providing operational and technical advice, and working with our vessels to support crews working on board. So I've just got a slide up there of kind of my pathway. I'm originally from Victoria, BC, and like many people who end up in the marine sector, I grew up on the ocean. My family owned sailboats while I was growing up, and I spent a lot of time cruising and racing with my family. So that's how I got my start. As a baby, my parents would strap me to the mast of the boat in my car seat, and I would just stay there throughout our trips. So very young, out on the water and enjoying everything that the coast has to offer. I've always had a strong connection to the marine environment, which shaped both my personal interests and my career path. So I grew up wanting to be a marine biologist, as George mentioned, and I spent a lot of time exploring the tide pools at the beach. And I translated that into a marine biology degree at the University of Victoria once I finished high school. Unfortunately, when I finished my degree, there were no jobs available in my field. There were some cuts to science funding, so I started looking for other options. I was working at a bike shop, and my parents were on my case to get a real job and grow up. So I found through Department of Fisheries and Oceans, where I was looking for marine biology jobs, that the Coast Guard College out in Nova Scotia, which has now recently become the Coast Guard Academy, was accepting applicants. And I applied, just one of the many job postings I was responding to at the time, not thinking much of it, other than I liked boats, I liked being on the water, and it couldn't hurt to put my name in. So this summer progressed. I did a couple interviews, I did a medical exam, and then I turned out to have successfully completed the process, and they offered me a position in the officer training program in Nova Scotia. So I packed up my bags, moved across the country, not knowing anyone, and started at the academy. So this was an interesting experience compared to university. We were in cohorts, so we spent the 4 years with the same people every day in all of your classes. However, there were also 2 work terms interspersed within that. So I was out at sea for 2 8-month stints, and I worked on ships in Newfoundland and BC during that time. So I was really lucky, and I got to see all sorts of different Coast Guard programs, such as offshore fishery enforcement in Newfoundland and on the Grand Banks. We even went up to Greenland, which was really neat. Buoy tending, emergency towing, worked on a hovercraft for a week out of Richmond, BC, which was really neat to see. And then I also was involved in some fisheries research through the course of my training. So lots of different programs within the Coast Guard, and I was fortunate in that I got to see many of them. I graduated from the Coast Guard Academy in March 2020 with a watchkeeping mate certificate, and that was right at the start of the pandemic, as you probably all remember. So I moved across the country to start my career as an officer in BC under very uncertain circumstances, but I was very grateful to have a permanent job and to be out in the workforce, able to start my career without any delays. So some information on my education. I started as a junior deck officer once I finished at the Coast Guard Academy, but I worked to gain knowledge and experience so that I could advance to positions with more responsibility. And that involves taking training courses, getting sea time, just gaining experience and knowledge so that you can take Transport Canada certification exams and move up. So as my responsibilities grew, so did my need for continued training. So leadership, safety management, marine operations. After I graduated from the Coast Guard Academy, I really liked school, so I applied for a Master's of Maritime Management degree at Memorial University in Newfoundland. So I was able to complete that remotely while working on Coast Guard ships on the West Coast. The time difference was a little bit of a pain because they were 4.5 hours ahead, but managed to get all my assignments in, and I completed that back in 2024, I believe it was. Kind of around the same time, I also achieved my Chief Mate Certificate of Competency from Transport Canada. So lots of schooling over the years, but it's all helped to get me to a really good position in the Coast Guard. So continued learning is essential, and staying motivated while starting out can really set you up for success later on in your career. In my current position as Deputy Marine Superintendent, I help ensure the Coast Guard fleet in Western Region has the people, training, systems, and operational support it needs to deliver services safely and effectively. So a typical day for me will include coordinating crew movements and filling gaps to keep our fleet of large and small vessels operational. We have 15 large ships and 15 search and rescue stations throughout the coast. So there's a lot of people to keep track of, and they tend to call in sick at the last minute. So then we have to find replacements, usually at short notice, but usually can make something work. I also work with vessel crews, technical staff, and leadership teams to support their needs. I'm involved in quite a bit of policy writing and review, planning for the future. So that's really exciting and good to see where the organization's moving over time. As I mentioned, troubleshooting gaps or challenges to operations, training, and staffing, and ensuring that there's an alignment between our fleet needs as well as the needs of the entire Coast Guard. So it's a big mix of strategy, problem solving, and collaboration between lots of different people. And I really enjoy my job. I enjoy working with the people around me. I've got a really great team supporting me and above me, so that's been a big perk of my current position. The work I do feels really meaningful. So my work directly supports search and rescue, environmental response, marine navigation, and coastal communities. It also helps ensure that the people who work for me are safe, and it also ensures the safety of the broader Canadian public. And I really also enjoy that no 2 days are the same. I never know what I'm going to see when I come into work in the morning. I don't know what's going to be in my inbox or what phone calls I'm going to get. So it's always new problems to solve, and I really enjoy that. Some of those challenges, though. As some of the other presenters have alluded to, the marine industry has a lot of challenges. Marine operations are complex. There's weather, staffing issues, vessel availability and reliability. Lots of regulations we have to follow. I think they say that the marine industry is the most heavily regulated industry in the world aside from aviation. So we have so many rules to follow. Lots of training to meet those regulations, and they all intersect every day. So one of the biggest challenges is ensuring that my vessels and crew have everything they need at the right time. Doesn't matter if I can get it for them in a week or a month, it needs to be right now. So as I mentioned, lots of sick calls, lots of last minute shuffling of crew members to fill gaps. So that takes a lot of time and planning, and we have one plan laid and then someone calls in sick and then we've got to throw it all out and make a new one. So just keeps us on our toes, and that's part of the challenges, but also part of the interesting aspects of it. Much of my work also focuses on bridging gaps, improving processes, and anticipating operational issues before they become problems. So we can't always do this, but we try our best, and that's one of the challenges that can't be avoided. My current working conditions, I don't work on ships anymore. Used to work 28 days, 28 on and 28 off on ships. It was a 12-hour schedule, so either from noon till midnight or midnight to noon. But now that I'm ashore, I'm Monday to Friday, which is quite nice. I do cover emergencies over evenings and weekends about 1 week a month. So sometimes I'll get a call at 11 o'clock at night and I have to do some problem solving and then can go back to sleep, but it's usually pretty quiet. It's a very collaborative role right now. So I work with crews, technical experts, managers, and national teams to move the Coast Guard's objectives forward. I also try to get out on the ships as much as possible. So my office has a nice view of our wharf here in Victoria, and I try and get out to visit the ships when they come in and check up on everyone, see how they're doing. The environment's quite dynamic. It's part administrative, part operational, and part strategic. So again, all things that I really like about this job. The salary for work in the Coast Guard is all publicly available as part of the ship's officer collective agreement or the ship's crew collective agreement if you decide to go through a deckhand or engine room assistant pathway, and our workforce is all unionized. The starting salary for new graduates from the Coast Guard Academy is about $84,000 per year before taxes and without any of our benefits or overtime included in that. A mid-career officer can comfortably expect to earn about $115K a year, and top-level captains max out around $175,000. There's a strong salary growth with experience, certification, and leadership responsibilities. These numbers also don't include overtime, shift premiums, or other compensations, so typically people end up earning a little bit more than those numbers. And Coast Guard employees also benefit from a public service pension, medical and dental benefits, and well-being services. So as you've seen from my pathway, there's lots of opportunities within the Coast Guard to move from seagoing to shoreside roles as your life situation changes. You can advance in fleet operations or marine management, as I've done, or you can move into specialized areas. In Coast Guard, we have fields such as environmental response, incident management, search and rescue, and you can also specialize in training, safety management, that sort of thing. So lots of opportunities. And as you gain more experience, you can take on leadership or national program roles, which is really exciting. So with the training and experiences I've built, there are opportunities to work with headquarters in Ottawa, lead regional and national programs, or move into other positions laterally within the Coast Guard, or transfer into the broader maritime community as those opportunities come up. And there's just so many possibilities, and I encourage you to take any opportunity as it comes up, even if you're afraid, even if you don't think you're qualified, just say yes and give it a try and see where it goes, because that's what I've done and it's been working out so far. So thank you all for your time.
And thank you, Mary, for sharing what you had to share. Very informative in that respect. I know I have a question or two, but once again, please write your questions in the chat if you can, please. Not just for Mary, but for others, since we've had all of our speakers at this point. Mary, for yourself, you got your Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology to be able to enter, right, the Coast Guard. But is that the only way to get in? Like, do you need a bachelor's degree of a certain type? Or what do you need to be able to get in to work for the Coast Guard?
So that's a really good question, George. You don't need a bachelor degree to apply to the Coast Guard Academy. You can apply right out of high school. Lots of my classmates were 18 right out of high school, just graduated. So there is a focus on a lot of the science and math courses. So I think it's a 70% average in most of your core subjects. And then you need like a math and physics background to help you out. There are two actual programs within the Coast Guard Academy, so you can study marine navigation or marine engineering. I went with navigation because that was what interested me more. I didn't want to be down in the engine room. I wanted to have windows. So that's why I went with that. And there's also two language intakes as well. So there's an Anglophone class and a Francophone class of each. So classes are a little bit bigger now than when I went through, and I think they're taking about 24 applicants for each program. So 24 times 4, and yeah.
Does knowing French, is that a benefit?
It can be beneficial, although it's not required. During the 4-year program, there is quite intensive language training within that curriculum. So I did French for 4 years while I was there, which I'm not fully bilingual, but it definitely helped.
Okay. Still looking for other questions. If there are other questions in the chat, you are welcome to be able to share things, and we can go to general questions as well. One of the things, I actually might go back to Rylan on this one, if that's at all possible. Rylan, when it comes to, I know Bob was able to share about wages, Mary was able to share about wages per se. Is there a sort of a standard? And once again, what sort of education do you need to be able to come in to some of those jobs? And what are we looking at for pay for certain things?
Okay, our deckhands, they start out at around 79, and their pay band tops out at about, I think it's 95. And for our captains, we start them out around 89 and we cap them out about 115. We also have somewhat of the same benefits and pension as Coast Guard, but we also offer bonuses and such. So there's a lot of great positives working for the Port Authority.
Absolutely, there is, for sure.
And they did assist me with all of my education as well.
Okay.
All of my tickets were bought and paid for by PRPA.
Oh, and that's handy as well, as opposed to taking out student loans for that, right?
We prefer to promote within, which is great for our people here in Prince Rupert.
There is a question for Mary specifically, asking if you can please name some post-secondary institutes where students can apply in BC, specifically for the Coast Guard, I guess.
So all of the Coast Guard job postings are available through the Government of Canada Job Bank. I can post the link to that in the chat in a few moments, but yeah, we sometimes will post ads on the like bulletin boards, but yeah, we don't specifically send job postings to the post-secondary institutes. The Coast Guard Academy is run through the Government of Canada, so it's kind of independent.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing there. I know there was a larger question here that was sent by Kent. I think it's probably best handled by perhaps somebody like Julia or other folks within CMCF to be able to respond to that via the chat. That might be best to be able to answer that. I'm just wondering, actually, I'll go to Sergei as well as sort of a last go, similar to what I asked Rylan and Mary. I'm just curious when it comes to jobs and positions that exist on these flotels. What are we looking at for entry wage? What kind of jobs might be available for people to come out of high school or during high school to be able to work on some of these projects? And where can it go from there?
Yeah. So we basically earlier and at our initial projects, we were accepting cadet programs, and whoever just finished the maritime academy or university, they can come as a cadet and support typical officers on watch operation. They basically assisting on the bridge and getting familiarized with the vessel, with the potential to become a third officer. On floatels, we have captain, chief officer, second officer, third officer, and the same for engineers, chief engineer, first, second, and third, and fourth. That's where we can start with. But if there will be huge interest that this CVs can be submitted to our HR, and that we can review and give this cadet program for this individuals. Same time, they can come as again another side of our service. It is hotel operation. It can be again housekeeping, galley department. That's where people can still come with any ticket, but they can earn vessel experience, and then they can still continue with their function, which they would like to build their career. Either it is deck department, which is officers and deckhands, or engineers for engine room. But to become a deckhand, it's very easy even without background, but with a strong interest, with the probationary period, it's absolutely possible in Bridgman's for the floatels.
Okay, great. And here's one thing. I don't think there's a connection, but I'll throw it out anyway because I'm sure you're aware of it. I know in Vancouver, at near the cruise ship dock, there was a proposal that went forward to Vancouver City Council, which they gave approval towards a very similar flotel operation. Is your operation involved with that, or is that another company? I'm just curious.
I think it might be us as well, because of course, for us to operate here, we were going through certain cycles of approval, local regulations. Because the vessel arrived from overseas, we brought the floatels from Baltic Sea. And it's required, of course, the permits and approval to operate here, and we were obtaining the same. So it might be about us, yeah.
Okay. All right. I know that there's still some typing in the chat here, and that can still go, but I think we are going to give a bit of a lap on this and a wrap for that. So that's all the time that we have for this session. Just wanted to let you know that the next virtual presentation is going to be taking place on Thursday, May 14th, when we have a session with the Canadian Association of Medical Radiation Technologists. And we're going to be talking about those healthcare-based careers. With in-person field trips in respect to School District 83, we have Experience OC and Salmon Arm next week, Jill of All Trades and the College of Arts and Technology, both in Kelowna in 2 weeks, and other trips involving the mining and healthcare sector in the month of May. If you wish to be involved in any of these sessions, please contact me at the number and email listed. And I believe that frame is going to be coming up here right now. It's 778-824-1188, where I'll text or chat with you. Or you can email grichard@sd83.bc.ca. And like I said, I believe that is coming up in the chat. I know there was a frame for that, but it's going to be there. Regardless, on behalf of the CMCF, School District 83, Julia, who took over well when I was out in the ether of the internet connection, the panelists and myself, thank you very much for attending and learning more about careers in the marine sector. Have a great day of learning, Cook's Jam and Ilie. Thank you.